It's always great to have our friend Aaron Capole in the studio representing Woods and Forest Media. Some pretty impressive work. I just saw a peek of a couple recent video presentations. You're here to talk about everything that's going on in your busy life. Busy, interesting life, Aaron. Good to see you.
Thank you, Bo. It is very busy and very interesting, and I can't wait to talk about it with you today.
Yeah, well, first off, tell us what you're most excited about right now.
Well, the thing I'm most excited about is the project that I've just released. It's the flagship show for Woods and Forests Media. So it's a media brand that focuses on storytelling. We believe that the woods are full of stories. So whether that's out there in the field presenting it in a nature hiking show or inside enclosures, we have a lot of unique content that we share. Yeah. And it pairs well because of my background in herpetology and in actual biological sciences. So I have a chance to tell the stories of a lot of the things that I find the most interesting and highlight that on YouTube and other platforms as well.
It's great that you get to go out and talk to community organizations about the work that you do, and also to use this as a forum to educate about what you do. But I just want to say, after watching some videos recently, just amazed at the detail. I'm just amazed at the fact that you can see, as we talked about before, got on the mic, that you can actually see details of insects that you really don't pay attention to. The face of the frogs. Pretty cool stuff. And now you'd mentioned before about how it's kind of similar to content you'd see on National Geographic. It truly is. The detail is really amazing.
Well, I appreciate that a lot, and I'm really excited to hear that you enjoyed it. Yeah, all the different gadgets and the equipment that it takes to create these types of projects, to really understand what it takes to film it. With Sony's macro lens and figuring out which lenses to use and having multiple cameras, it gets very pricey very quickly. But if you love what you do and you really enjoy it and there's a mission behind it, if there's something that's inspirational behind it, then it makes it all justifiable, at least in my opinion.
Yeah. And so where can people find this great work that you've been producing?
Yeah, well, they can go to the YouTube channel, the website, or the Instagram for Woods and Forests Media, and that's where I release all of my projects, whether it's drone flights or it's hiking show episodes, podcasts, and other things like that. But right now, in February, we're focusing on what really inspired everything. So the show, The Woods Uncut, featuring a 242-gallon, larger than most people's kitchen tables, is what inspired a nonprofit, inspired my trips to grad school, inspired a movement in the community in Western Pennsylvania to care about native wildlife. And it all stemmed 11 years ago, February 14th, 2015, for an enclosure about toads. And now, 11 years later, we have the very first way to give back to that, the very first way to showcase to people all the generations that came after that first group and all the advances and things that came out of it, all the excitement and inspiration. And now here we are talking about American toads, and who would have thought we'd be here doing that? Because a lot of people don't think that they're necessarily worthy of being in nature documentaries. Same thing with some native ant species and even roaches. A lot of people think everybody collectively that I just mentioned are very grotesque, but in this, we have a chance to share that there are personalities and that there's things for people to take away from that maybe they didn't expect. Maybe they'll see these creatures in a different light. And that's exactly why I'm out here to make these episodes and why I'm out here to educate families and students from kindergarten the whole way up to college.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, February, we are now in March, and I am certain as seasons change and we see things different in the atmosphere that there's different subject matter to study based upon temperatures, based upon levels of snow on the ground, things like that too, right? I'm sure you're always thinking about what next as seasons change.
Exactly. So this show, the Woods Uncut, this enclosure, has a weather station that is tied to the outside in the backyard. So I can actually compare what the climate's like in my backyard, where a lot of the animals that I'm trying to bring together do actually occur. American toads, black field ants, and others, these species do naturally occur in the backyard. So understanding what the rainfall is like, the climate, obviously we're not replicating the full winter process because that would be nearly impossible to do in captivity for private citizens, but having the ability to measure soil moisture and the real feel, and having the chance, like you saw in some of the episodes, we could create weather with fog storms and thunderstorms. I mean, we have sunrises and sunsets, and this was all designed for the different seasons around them to work with their circadian rhythm, to work with seasonality and feeding the animals even different times of the year. They're eating different prey items. So giving them that natural stimulation of maybe this is something they'd be eating more of. There goes a lot into it with studying the research articles of the gut contents of the animals, what the feeder insects would be eating. Like, there's so much that you could get into from a technological standpoint and from a biological standpoint if you want to make something as authentic and genuine as possible. So as much detail as you can think of is probably where I've been at trying to create these stories.
Right. An example, one that I liked was seeing a toad's reaction to a thunderstorm. And you also bring up, just some of the things of survival mode, as you see the details of the toad, like I said, the facial features and things like that. But you often address things that maybe the average person doesn't think about, such as the fact that they become easy prey for so many predators that are out there for them. And it's really interesting things that even though it's incredibly fascinating, some of this stuff isn't things that we think about. But we really should, because this stuff is relevant to our own existence, isn't it?
I think so. I agree that it is relevant to our existence, and it's really exciting to hear that, what you said about bringing things to light that a lot of people don't necessarily think about. And these animals are under a state educator permit, and they all have a story, whether it's the big female toad Junior, who a lot of people didn't want to take in when a herpetology department at a college was closing, and I got a phone call to take her in, or Baldwin, the one toad who was pulled off of a busy road, and he had a wrist broken in multiple places. He wouldn't be here today had we not taken him in. Right. And even the toad who's seemingly the star in this part of the series for season 2 of the Woods Uncut, Ananias II, he is the American toad who we found, and he seems to have like a weird coloration, like he's melanistic, I believe. It's where they're completely almost jet black, and it's unique for an American toad to look that way. But I thought he was sick at the time, because when I found him, it was a thunderstorm and out in the middle of a road. But anyway, long story short, everybody has such a unique story, a backstory, and when you put all of these personalities together, it's the perfect storm to tell a story, right? Because everybody's rooting for somebody. If you come to the channel, you might relate in this show more to Junior, who is an outsider coming in, or to Baldwin, who's more timid and more humble, or maybe you relate to Ananias, the toad, who's just very persistent, very pesky. He's trying to maintain his grasp on all of the resources in the tank, and all these toads are competing for the water, for the ability to eat the most, and the ability to hide in the better places. And there's so much that goes into it in these artificial settings that we have to keep in mind, the weight of the animals, how that fluctuates. There's just so much behind it, and there's so many variables. But yeah, these are things that we can bring to light and tell in these stories that I want people to take away and feel inspired and excited about when they watch these American toads.
Aaron Capole of Woods and Forest Media, also Pennsylvania Woods and Forest, and all the activities that are involved with that. These are a couple things that are pretty linked to each other, correct?
That's correct, yeah. So the nonprofit PA Woods and Forests does all the field work. We have grant projects. We're working on building backyard habitats, acoustic monitoring projects, and other things like that. And the nonprofit pretty much hires out the media brand. And the reason why that works is because I'm doing all of the work for free. Imagine volunteering, spending all the gas money from in Pennsylvania, from Bedford to Pittsburgh, even down to Uniontown in Fayette County now. It's well over 150 miles of area that I'm covering in 6 months.
Yeah.
And to dedicate that for free, filming, risking my life and also all of my gear to be able to tell the stories of what the nonprofit is trying to educate people on, which is the conservation of native frogs and toads across Pennsylvania. And again, doing that for free, that's where the media brand gets contracted out, and I tell the stories of what the nonprofit's goal is. And the ability to do that for a project called Frog Week, which again, ironically, is maybe not the most creative name out of all the things I've designed, but it is something that's been lasting and that a lot of people in this region are very excited about. Having the opportunity to appear on talk shows on TV, even doing the radio interviews with you. There's so many great things that we're telling stories about. And so the media brand contracted out to do different projects. I filmed a soil judging contest, electroshocking of fish. I do drone missions. So I do a lot of hired work along with creating these shows. And I can't wait to focus on the upcoming field season for year 8 of the Frog Week Conservation Project. Isn't that crazy? We're going almost on a decade. Year 8.
Yeah. I'm amazed by that. You know what I mean? And just the fact that I've seen this process and how these projects, started the way they did and what they have grown into. It's obviously something that you take pride in.
Yeah, especially with so much on the line now. It just seems like the stakes get higher every single time. The demand and the deliverables, there's so much going on. It's almost in some ways like being in a pressure cooker, but some people were made for it and others aren't. And as I continue to move forward, I keep finding new ways to reinvent the project, new ways to inspire and encourage others. I think the big thing that we've really started tapping into the last 2 years, and even for the media brand, like all of this stuff is relevant because our target audience is families and the youth. So going after kids in the classroom from kindergarten all the way up to college and sharing these stories, having the opportunity for them to see these animals in these shows that are getting exposure on radio, possibly television and podcasts, getting the chance to imagine that meeting Ananias or meeting Junior, or some of these animals on the YouTube channel, and coming to a classroom and sharing that with the kids. And then they have a chance to go home with their parents and watch the episodes. And then you think about it, we're coming to the classroom bringing tadpoles, carnivorous plants, and other things, allowing kids to become stewards over what we're making videos about. And the goal is to inspire the next generation of conservationists and people who want to make the world a better place.
How can people reach out to you, say that they want to have you address their group? What's the best way to contact you?
Well, the best part is I have all of my clearances. I have my drone license with the FAA, and I also have my state educator permit. So I'm more than excited to join anybody in the classroom, the library, or any Bible camp, any nursing home, anybody that's interested in having me come out and share. They could reach me at Woods and Forests Media. You could either look up the website, the YouTube, or the Instagram. They're all linked together through my link tree. And if you're interested in understanding more about the conservation of frogs and toads and how we serve western and central Pennsylvania, you could reach out to PA Woods and Forests. The website, Facebook page, and a lot of my information is laid out if you want to directly contact me.
And you will be incredibly impressed if you go to the YouTube page, Woods and Forest Media, correct?
Yeah, it's laid out just like a Hulu or a Prime Video. It's like a streaming platform and multiple shows, and it's laid out right on the home screen for you to find what you're looking for. Yeah,
the detail in what you see there, and specialized camera for this you have? Is that what
multiple specialized cameras.
Yeah. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, one in the tank to film the toads, which is a specialized camera, waterproof, dust-proof, crush-proof, and another one that's got AI tracking, and it also is able, it's the only camera, one of them is the only camera that I have that I can actually follow the ants inside their small enclosure. And the way I look at it is all these different groups, the ant colony, the big tank with the toads, the roach colony, and others. It's almost like the United States. You have all these different states that are coming together to form one union. And that's how it works together, even in an ecosystem, because if we enclose ants with toads, something might not work out well, but allowing the audience to enjoy them individually and then how they work together is what makes it unique. But I can't wait to share all of this with you guys. Anybody who wants to come in and watch the YouTube channel or have me come and present and possibly even bring some of these animals to talk.
Hey, before you go, Aaron, tell us all about some of the most recent things, pretty exciting, about the media brand.
Yeah, so the most important thing that we had the chance to do was to tell the story about the Woods Uncut. As we mentioned, it's the story of the American toads, and it's been 11 years in the making. All of the different stories and the incredible things that have taken place to get to this point, creating this massive enclosure and all of the tech and the gear and the storylines. I wanted to finally wrap all of it together and showcase it in the media brand. It's been 11 years in the making to tell the story of what's actually going on with these different enclosures like ants and roaches and toads, and how all of that comes together to form a story. So I called it a takeover. It was the first time ever that we had a featured project for Woods and Forests Media, with content coming out the entire month of February. And the focus was to tell the story and reestablish this as the flagship project for the media brand. And we're also doing this because we're targeting our audience where a lot of these school students from kindergarten the whole way up to college are going to have a chance to see these episodes in the classroom. Students are actually watching this, teachers are sharing this. So there's a big obligation to tell stories that are exciting for these kids. And as I go to these classrooms to bring tadpoles for Frog Week that these kids are going to have a chance to raise, I might also bring some of the animals that are in these episodes, and it could leave these students feeling, in a way, starstruck. They get a chance to watch these episodes on the internet and then meet these animals in person. And there's a lot of responsibility into teaching the kids and also telling the story about these animals and doing all of that justice. And so calling it a takeover, reestablishing the featured flagship show for Woods and Forests Media is the most important thing, and that's what we did in February. And I'm so excited for the opportunity to continue season 2 running deep into Frog Week, and we'll even have a special episode of the Woods Uncut, the final episode of season 2, come out during Frog Week this year. So I'm really excited about that as well.
I always love your enthusiasm and look forward to seeing you before Frog Week. Aaron Capole, Woods and Forests Media, Pennsylvania Woods and Forests. Keep doing what you do. I always enjoy this conversation with you.
Thank you so much for having me, Bo.